Have you ever had one of those mornings where you sit on the edge of the bed and think, "Why do I feel so empty today?" You slept fine. The sun is shining. Nothing's really wrong, and yet, there's this quiet cloud hanging over you. A heaviness that wasn't there before. And maybe, just maybe, it's been showing up a little more often than you'd like to admit. If you're over 70, you're not alone in this. A lot of folks find that, after a certain age, it's not just the joints that get a little stiffer, sometimes the joy does too. The days feel longer, the house feels quieter, and even the things you used to enjoy don't bring the same spark. But here's the good news. You don't need a prescription or a full schedule of social events to lift that fog. Sometimes, all it takes is 10 minutes a day and a few clever little tricks of the mind. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 simple, powerful mental habits that can brighten your mood, build emotional strength, and help you feel more connected to yourself and the world, even on days when you feel like shutting the curtains and crawling back into bed. These aren't complicated rituals or drawn-out therapies. These are everyday tools. Mental exercises that take less than 10 minutes, but can completely shift the way you move through life. Let's start with something beautifully simple, what you say to yourself first thing in the morning. You see, most people wake up and their first thought is something like, my knees hurt," or "I've got nothing to look forward to today." And without even realizing it, we've already set the emotional tone for the whole day. It's like playing a sad song on repeat before you've even had your coffee. But here's a trick. The moment your eyes open, say this one sentence, even if you don't feel like it. "Today, I choose to feel something good." Now I know, that might sound a little cheesy, or even forced, but that's okay. The brain is surprisingly obedient. If you give it a direction, especially early in the day, it starts to look for evidence to support that feeling. So when you say, "I choose to feel something good," your brain starts scanning. What can I feel good about? Maybe it's the smell of your tea. Maybe it's that silly bird tapping on your window again. Maybe it's just the way the light hits your favorite chair. Small things. But small things grow. That one sentence, said out loud or silently, becomes a quiet invitation for your mood to lift, naturally, gently, without pressure. And speaking of mood, have you ever noticed how powerful memories are? But not just any memory. I'm talking about what I like to call emotional anchors. Let me explain. There was a gentleman I spoke to last year. 76 years old, widowed, no kids, lived alone. Every morning, he'd sit in his kitchen with a cup of black coffee and replay one particular memory in his mind. His honeymoon in Italy. He could see the street cafe, hear the accordion music, remember the taste of the lemon gelato she loved so much. And every morning, he would smile. That memory was his anchor. It reminded him not just of her, but of who he was in that moment, a younger, more alive version of himself. And that feeling carried him through the day. You can do this too. Take just 2 minutes a day to close your eyes and visit a moment in your past that made you feel deeply alive. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be holding your grandchild for the first time, or dancing barefoot in your living room, or even just laughing so hard you couldn't breathe. The trick is to go beyond the image. Feel it in your body. Let your face smile. Let your chest lift. The brain doesn't know the difference between memory and reality, so in that moment you are really there again. And those emotions? They're real too. Now here's a third one, and this one might surprise you. It's about talking to something that can't talk back. Stay with me. A lot of people feel lonely because there's no one around to talk to. But loneliness isn't just about being alone. It's about the lack of connection. And connection doesn't always come from people. Sometimes it comes from expression. There's a woman I know, 82 years old, who sits down every morning with her cup of tea and talks out loud to the photo of her late sister. She tells her what the weather is like, what she dreamed about last night, what aches and what doesn't. And when she's done, she feels better. Not because her sister answered, but because she let her heart speak. That kind of emotional release, even if no one hears it, is a form of self-healing. You can do it with a photo, or a plant, or a pet, or even the mirror. Don't worry about sounding silly. This isn't for anyone else. It's for you. For your heart. For your mind. And sometimes, just putting your thoughts out there is enough to lift a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. These little practices, they may seem too simple at first glance, but their strength lies in their consistency. You don't need to spend an hour meditating or journaling or forcing yourself to be cheerful. You just need a few honest moments, a few mental shifts, and most importantly, a little bit of willingness, because even after 70, no, especially after 70, your emotional health deserves as much care as your physical body. You've lived through so much. You've seen change, loss, love, joy, hardship, and all of that lives inside you. You have the wisdom of decades, but that doesn't mean you have to carry the weight of them every day. There are ways to feel lighter, brighter, stronger, and they don't require a single pill or appointment. Now that we've opened the door with these first few tools, let's keep going. You'd be surprised how much lighter the day feels when your thoughts aren't stuck circling the same worries over and over again. That brings us to another simple but powerful habit, and it starts with just one word: observation. Not judgment, not planning, just noticing. Every day, take a few quiet minutes to sit somewhere peaceful, by a window, out on the porch, or even in your favorite chair, and just observe what's around you. I know it sounds too basic, but don't underestimate it. This isn't about zoning out, it's about tuning in. The rustle of the leaves, the way the sunlight shifts through the blinds, the distant hum of a car going by, all of it reminds your brain that the world is still turning. That life is still happening, even in the small, quiet corners. You're still part of it. And here's the trick. Try to describe what you see or hear in your head like you're narrating it for someone else. The tree outside is swaying, like it's stretching its arms after a long nap. The wind has that chilly edge today. It smells like autumn is coming. That kind of simple, poetic noticing activates parts of the brain linked to creativity and calm, and over time, it helps shift your focus away from anxiety and into presence. You're not trying to solve anything. You're just being. And after a certain age, that ability to be still without feeling empty? That's a gift. Now let's talk about a different kind of trick. One that brings laughter back into the picture. Because, let's be honest, sometimes the biggest thing missing from our days isn't activity or people. It's a good laugh. And that's where a little mental mischief comes in. Here's what I mean. Once a day, you give yourself permission to be silly on purpose. Not performative. Not childish. Just a little moment where you step outside the serious version of yourself and shake things up. It could be dancing around your living room to an old favorite song, even if your knees crack. It could be making up goofy nicknames for your houseplants. It could be talking to your dog like he's your accountant. You laugh, not because everything is perfect, but because you're allowed to find joy in imperfection. See, laughter has this funny way of releasing emotional pressure. And after 70, a lot of us carry quiet tension without realizing it. We've seen loss, we've been through disappointments, we've learned to be strong, but sometimes that strength gets a little too tight, like a belt that needs loosening. A little silliness can undo that buckle, just enough to let in the air. And don't worry if it feels forced at first. Even fake laughter, the kind where you're just making the sound, can trick your body into releasing feel-good chemicals. So if all else fails, sit down and just go ha, ha, out loud for 30 seconds. Sounds ridiculous, I know. But try it. You'll either feel better or laugh at yourself trying, which still counts. This kind of mental mischief doesn't mean you're ignoring your problems. It means you're refusing to let them steal every ounce of your peace. And that's a powerful decision. Now, as we move into the next habit, I want to ask you something personal. When was the last time you really listened to yourself? Not your doctor, not your kids, not the television. Just you. That voice inside that sometimes whispers, I miss her. Or, I wish I had tried that. Or even, I'm tired today. Too often, we drown that voice out. We keep busy, we push it down, or we tell ourselves we should be grateful and not complain. But one of the most protective things you can do for your mental well-being, especially as you get older, is to create a safe space for that voice to speak. Here's the trick. Every day, take one quiet minute to ask yourself, what do I need right now? Don't try to fix anything. Don't judge the answer. Just ask and listen. Maybe today you need rest. Maybe you need connection. Maybe you need to forgive someone or yourself. And maybe all you need is to sit for a moment without pretending to be okay. That kind of emotional honesty doesn't make you weak. It makes you whole. And it helps prevent the kind of silent sadness that builds up in people who are always smiling for others, but never checking in with their own heart. Give yourself that permission. 1 minute a day. It's not much, but it's enough to keep your emotional compass pointing toward truth instead of numbness. These little mind tricks may seem small, but that's the beauty of them. They don't require a therapist's office or a big life change. Just you, your mind, and a few minutes of intention each day. There's something incredibly powerful about pausing long enough to hear your own thoughts, to actually sit with them and let them pass through like clouds instead of storms. And that brings us to another beautiful little trick that can lift the heart in ways that even medicine can't always match. Gratitude. Now, before you tune out, because I know we've all heard this word 100 times, let me say this. I'm not talking about writing some long list of everything you've ever been thankful for. I'm talking about finding one thing each day that made your heart feel even a little bit warm. Just one. It could be that the sun came out after 3 days of rain. That your neighbor waved at you with a smile. That your soup turned out just right. Doesn't matter how big or small. What matters is that you noticed it. And here's the trick. When you find that one thing, say it out loud. Really. Even if you're the only one in the room. I'm grateful for that phone call today. I'm grateful my knees didn't hurt when I stood up. I'm grateful for the quiet. There's something about speaking it aloud that makes it more real. It moves the thought from your head into the space around you, like planting a little flag that says, there is still good here. And when you do this consistently, you start to train your brain, like gently guiding an old dog to a new trick, to look for light even on dark days. That doesn't mean the sadness disappears. It just means the sadness doesn't own the whole house anymore. It's just one room. And gratitude opens the door to the rest. The last trick I want to share with you today is something most people overlook completely. It's not flashy. It's not inspiring in the usual sense. But it might be the most quietly life-changing of all. Do something, anything, that gives you a small sense of completion. Now stay with me here, because this one is subtle. You see, one of the hardest parts about aging is that our sense of purpose can feel like it's shrinking. The kids are grown. The job is long gone. The daily demands aren't what they used to be. And in that empty space, depression can sneak in, not loudly, but like a fog. But here's the good news. Your brain doesn't need some grand project to feel alive. It just needs completion. That feeling of, I set out to do this, and I did it. Maybe that's folding the laundry, or watering your plants. Maybe it's solving a crossword, or finally going through that junk drawer, or calling a friend you've been meaning to check on. You don't have to clean the whole house or solve world peace. You just have to finish something small, and notice that you finished it. And when you do, say this quietly to yourself. I followed through. I showed up. Because that's the part that matters. Following through. Showing up for yourself, even in the tiniest way, builds something deeper than confidence. It builds dignity. And dignity is what depression has the hardest time stealing. So if you're having a day where the fog feels thick, and you're not sure where to start, just pick one small thing. Wipe down the kitchen table. Sweep the porch. Make the bed, even if you'll get right back in it later. And when it's done, let yourself feel it. I did that. These 6 habits aren't magic potions. but they are daily anchors, gentle, steadying actions that can keep your mind from drifting into darker waters. You don't need more time. You don't need more energy. All you need is intention. Take a few minutes each day to reflect inward, laugh outward, observe gently, speak truthfully, notice the good, and finish something. That's it. That's the formula. And if you ever start to feel like you're too late to change, or too old to matter, please remember this. The human heart never stops wanting to be seen, to be heard, to be useful, to be loved. And you, my friend, still have so much to give this world. Your presence matters more than you know. If any of these habits spoke to you, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Tell me, what's one thing that lifts your spirit when the day feels heavy? Your story might help someone else feel a little less alone today. And if you found value in this video, go ahead and tap that like button. It helps more people find content that actually cares about their mental and emotional well-being. And don't forget to subscribe, because we've got more helpful, heart-centered videos coming your way. Until then, take care of that beautiful mind of yours. Here's to living with peace, joy, and purpose, no matter the number on your birthday cake. You've got this.